Do you want to learn how to get healthy, perform at your best, and create body composition changes that last? In this podcast, we're going to talk about all things fitness, nutrition, health, and mindset. You're going to learn how to create real results, and most importantly, how to maintain those results in the long run. I'm Johan.
I'm Kristine and Johan.
And you're listening to Talking Nutrition. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Talking Nutrition, episode 15. Today we want to talk about planning for the different seasons of nutrition. So first of all, is the Christmas tree still up, Kristine?
Of course it is.
Great.
It's not coming down.
Cool.
Tell you,
it's not coming down.
I mean, ask me in February. It's probably still going to be up.
Probably still going to be up. Cool. I kind of briefly touched on this recently in episode 13, actually, now that I think of it. Now, by the time that this episode will be up, it's October 31st. So I want you to kind of think into the future, right? Not for the listener, but for us. So we're now October 31st. It's going to be November tomorrow. Just 2 months left in this year. Then we get into the next year, which is kind of crazy. Like for me, this year really flew by. I saw a really cool infographic that I will link in the show notes. I should actually tag the dude. I forgot. I didn't write his
I started following
down.
This guy now.
He has a lot of very good ones. It's super simple, super basic, but I like it. It's cool. Mm-hmm. It's basically just random like infographics, and I really like this one. You kind of see a bit of a it's just a line, right? So right in the middle we got January 1st, and this was posted like early October, and it says your head start if you start today. Right? So we have Q4 of this year, and then we have Q1 of next year. People sometimes think, by the time it's November, December even, or even October, that it's kind of like, it's pretty much Christmas already. Let me just not care about anything, and I'll just wait for New Year's. Right? Like, you do see that a lot, where people are kind of waiting to take action, and that's okay. People are in different stages when it comes to how ready they are to take action, and that's cool, right? But here's the thing. So if we wait for the new year, we're actually now 2 months ahead. There's a lot of stuff that we can already do now without being very diligent with your nutrition that will set you up for success. And I wrote a newsletter this morning, about this, where you really want to take it one step at a time. And we can't really fix everything at once, because that's usually what people try. That's usually where it goes wrong. But okay, I'm already getting ahead of myself. So let's actually get into what we're going to talk about today. I'm always a little bit all over the place. Let's see. My notes. Yes. Okay. So everything ebbs and flows, right? So you have muscle building phases, fat loss. You want to chase performance. Sometimes you just want to focus on health, or you want to focus on your work, whatever it might be, It all comes and goes, and there are different seasons when it comes to life, just in general, right? Right now, we're in the podcast season where we're trying to really double down on knocking out these episodes and, spreading the word, Yeah. And that being said, the feedback has been really cool. And I'm really appreciating everyone who's reaching out and giving us feedback and ratings and submitting questions. So before we get into the episode, thank you to the listener. Thanks for supporting us. We just started this, and it's just super cool to do this, honestly. I think in the beginning, especially, we kind of had to figure out our flow, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
But no, it's been super cool, honestly. So thank you guys for listening, for coming back to the podcast. And once again, the number one thing you can do to help us would be dropping us a 5-star rating and or review on either Apple or Spotify. Cool thing is that you can do that right now, right? You can keep listening and actually go to your app and give us a 5-star rating. It takes 5 seconds. But all joking aside, that really does help us grow the show, and you won't see any ads or anything. So that's the only thing we'll ask of you. Cool. That being said,
we don't make any money off this.
Oh, no.
I don't know if people think that.
We spend money doing this.
Yeah, we don't make money off this podcast. It's just purely to bring you guys extra value.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's exactly what it is, right? We're actually doing this in our, I want to say free time, but I'm not going to pay to do this.
Right, right.
Cool. So the seasons of nutrition, Kristine. Want to start it off?
Yeah. So I think both of us take this approach with our nutrition clients, our nutrition business, and we both learned this. You can call it nutrition periodization, or you can call it seasons of nutrition. I just love seasons of nutrition because I feel like it's like relatable. And that's a shout out to Sam Miller. He's the one who really came up with this and where we learned that from. And when we're talking about seasons of nutrition, so we're saying, I kind of like to think about it in a circle, right? So maintenance phase, okay, say that's like season 1, season 2, cut, okay, season 3, reverse diet or recovery diet, and then back up to maintenance. Then you could also add in like a bulk, right? You can add in that if that's part of your goal. But we spend, times in each season depending on what your goals are. So this is something that like I'll explain to potential clients that are coming on, is that like it depends on where you currently are as to like where we start within those seasons. So if someone comes to me and they're like, they've been chronically dieting or like unintentionally under eating for a long time, I'm going to start them in the reverse season. Then we're going to spend some time at maintenance just to like bring the body back to homeostasis, optimize metabolism, work on laying a solid foundation, habits, all that good stuff. We want to do that in a maintenance phase or recovery / reverse diet phase. It's just going to be a lot easier for the client to do that. So if they're under eating, I'll reverse them, spend some time at maintenance. And then when they're ready, then we will go into a cut. Okay. And so then we go into a cut and we spend X amount of time there. It just kind of depends. Typically, 16 to 24 weeks is where I kind of call it for most people. Sometimes it's 12, right? Just depends. And then from the cut, that's the exit strategy. The exit strategy is the reverse diet, right? So that we're not going from a cut, we end at low calories, and all of a sudden we increase calories back up super quickly when the body / metabolism has adapted down. That's when we see that weight regain. So we go from a cut into the season of reverse dieting, and that's slowly increasing calories over time. Then we spend time at maintenance. And we do this because we cannot spend too much time in a dieting phase, right? We know that can cause us problems. We can run into dysfunction. So it's important to be going through these seasons. And like sometimes it takes one shot, and then sometimes it can take more than one shot, depending. Like I have a client right now that we're going to have a 12-week. We've been in a 12-week diet. Well, he has a couple weeks left. I feel like I'm out of breath right now. It's weird. I don't know what's happening.
Slow down, it's okay.
And then, so now Christmas and like Thanksgiving, US Thanksgiving is coming up. And so we're going to transition him into more of like a maintenance phase for a few weeks. And then we're going to come back down into the cut. So like, that's kind of a little season within its own, but that's just to show you like this can take, a couple basically rounds of different seasons. Right?
Cool. Yeah, exactly. I think
yeah.
that's literally how I do it as well with my clients. And you brought up a very good point, that you cannot just keep dieting all the time, right? You have to sometimes go up. And especially with those things coming up, like Thanksgiving, like Christmas, you probably don't want to be dieting around that time. There might be some people who want to do that, and that's cool. It'll be your choice. However, if you actually celebrate Christmas, might as well just make it like a maintenance week or two, or
Yeah.
even the full month, right? Now it really depends. I guess Christmas is a really cool time of the year, I think, to learn from.
Hmm.
It's going to come up every year. And so, like, I think I talked about this like just now, either like last episode, I can't remember. But like a lot of people are stressed about that, right?
Hmm.
They are stressed about, Christmas, Easter over here is very big. You mentioned like Thanksgiving, summer, like we don't really want to stress about those moments. We just want to plan for it and say, okay, cool. I'm not going to be dieting then. And we're going to plan for that, right?
Yeah. And I think people, they almost like, for example, if they're wanting to hire a nutrition coach, they will wait until after these seasons. And it's actually probably way more beneficial for them to get sign up with a coach prior to these um, holidays and whatnot, so they can learn how to handle these situations moving forward versus just like neglecting them.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think it's, if not, like it's even a better like time to start. I was
Mm-hmm.
going to say place, but time, because all that stuff is going to come up no matter what, you know? You might think, and it makes sense that a lot of people think like this, where it's like, hey, I'm gonna wait until after Christmas, I'm gonna wait until after Thanksgiving. However, what about the next holiday then? So we just kind of skipped the holiday because we wanted to make it the ideal scenario to go into a cut or whatever. Now, what if the next one comes up? Like at
Right.
some point, you're gonna have to learn, right?
Right.
And that's why 9 out of 10 people, in my case at least with my clients, they're gonna be back at maintenance for the majority of the month in
Yeah.
December, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I do, like even myself. So I plan on potentially starting to cut like the end of November, so I'll be
Okay.
dieting
Yeah, yeah,
technically into Christmas and New Year's, but like the plan is to just, even if it's I take that day, that meal off of tracking, and I just get back to tracking the next day. Or if I take, a 3-day refeed, right? Something like that. It's much more manageable than like trying to just like diet through. So like I can still be dieting, but there's just a few days I'm taking off, which is not a
yeah.
big deal. But it still doesn't become like this free for all,
I
right?
was just gonna say, like, stay on that point for a little bit, because what would that look like for you? Kind of like making that a refeed day, right? Because not everyone really knows how that works, but would that be tracking? Would it be not tracking? Like, how would you kind of go about that, just for the listener? I think this could be interesting.
It kind of depends on the situation and the person. I also bring the clients in on this decision
Yeah,
too.
but for
Like,
you in this case,
oh, for me, so that
yeah,
would
yeah,
look like I would probably just take that day, or even I would take the day and just say, I'm not going to track this day. I'm going to front load, my protein. And then I'm going to just enjoy that dinner and be conscious of like where my fullness is at. I would still prioritize protein. Like I still bring that stuff into my refeed, but I just know that I'm going to have more calories than normal. So it could be like, I don't know, an extra like 500 calories, maybe. Like who knows, right?
yeah.
Um, and then that's it. Like I would just get back to my normal eating the next day, but it could look like more of a structured refeed of like actually just increasing carbohydrates. But I don't think that's necessarily conducive in a situation like this where it's like going to be this like Thanksgiving meal. I know there's going to be higher fat, like, so it's just going in with the mindset of I'm just going to enjoy this meal. I'm not going to go overboard. Maybe I give myself some non-negotiables, and then the next day I get back to my normal tracking.
Great, yeah, yeah. I think that could be like just a nice example for people,
Yep.
because as much as we talked about this too. We're coaches. We do this stuff. We tell people how to kind of like handle their nutrition. but it could also just kind of be cool to see how we do it, right? So
Right.
thank you.
Yeah,
That
of
being
course.
said, what's kind of like your plan after that? So you said you have your cut coming up, then you're gonna have a refeed around Christmas, and what happens into like the new year, for example?
Yeah, so I'll start my diet probably beginning of December, and then I'll probably diet December, January, February. And then I'm going to be going away in March. So I really have it planned up till the end of February. I'm going to go away. I'm going to see how I feel at that point if I want to continue. So I probably take March off. I probably bring my calories back up to maintenance and then see how I feel after that. If I want to continue for like a shorter period of time, a little bit after that maintenance month. But again, I'm like constantly reassessing. Like that's how I do things. Um, so it just kind of depends at that end of March, how I feel and what I want to do next. I just reassess at that point.
Cool. I like that. I like having a plan where you do have like a long term plan, but you're also like, hey, it is a rough kind of framework, right? Like we
Yeah.
can still move around. Like we don't have to. Like most people listening to, like we're not going to be planning for like a bodybuilding show or a competition. And hey, some people might actually be, but in the majority of the cases, like there's no time pressure, you know.
No.
And honestly, for me, so my bulk altogether last year into the start of this year, I think took longer than planned initially, and that's okay, you know. That being said, I did have a time where I did kind of, I wouldn't call it like I didn't fall off, but like I kind of stopped paying a little bit of attention to, less attention, sorry, um, to training. And honestly, I think I gained a little bit too much body fat at one point, and then we kind of continued. So for that reason, then my cut now this year has been longer and with the breaks because then I went on tour and then again,
Right. Yeah,
and then I went.
you have to take into consideration like when
Yeah,
someone's taking a break in a deficit, their body isn't under stress on that week or 2
yeah,
weeks that you're out. So you can prolong the cut a little bit longer because
yeah,
you're actually taking yourself out of that
yeah.
diet slash cut.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and also just mentally, like you need those breaks. But
Totally.
now I'm actually at the point where okay, we're at the finish line, like pretty much now, you know. Um, Even now, like it is, what is it? Wednesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday. The last couple of days, my weight just dropped like crazy again. Like the average already is like a kilo down, which is
Wow.
actually too fast at the moment. So right
Yeah.
now, like I actually wouldn't want it to go this fast, and I haven't changed anything. Now, the rest of this cut, so that's going to be this week and then 2 more weeks. And then in October, so at the time of this recording, right? Um, I'll start, hang on, no, sorry, November. So yeah, at the time of this recording, I'll start my reverse. Sorry, release. Jesus Christ. Now I'm completely mixing it up. But you know what I mean. At the
Yeah.
time of this recording, you got 2 more weeks to go. When this episode comes out, I'll be actually starting my reverse. So that's into November. Jeez, that was a mess. Okay. I'm just gonna leave it in too. So in November, I'm gonna jump up my calories, probably about halfway between where I'm currently at and my new expected maintenance, which is gonna be lower because I lost about 12 kilos right now. So
Dang.
it's gonna be a little bit lower than in the past, but after that, we're gonna crank it up, right? We're slowly reversing. We do want to get to maintenance ASAP, but then we want to go into a lean gaining phase where we slowly want to bring it up and we just really want to double down on building muscle.
Yeah.
And then I think Cody's going to do my training as well soon or by that time. And then we just really focus on just building muscle and staying lean, building muscle for a while. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And honestly, that could probably be half a year maybe of like maintaining into like lean gaining. We'll see. Like I don't know yet, but that's kind of like roughly my plan. And that's it for now. Like honestly, like that's as far as I've planned ahead.
Yeah. I
So
think something that I get asked about a lot. I know we've touched on it in some other podcasts, but people often ask how long they should spend out of the deficit.
yeah,
Um, a good rule of thumb is how much time you spend in, you want to spend out. But
yeah,
the longer you spend out, the better. The better you will
yeah,
actually respond if you do go back into the cut. Because sometimes if you don't spend enough time out, so if you reverse diet and then you spend like a month or like less than that at like
yeah,
maintenance, you're gonna have to drop calories even lower compared to where you ended because you're
yeah,
just not giving the body enough time to recover and adapt up. So that
yeah.
spend the same amount of time in maintenance that you did in the cut is a good area, I guess you could say.
And that's hard, especially if
It
you want
is
to keep
hard.
losing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's very much necessary. And that's exactly why people fuck up all the time. And it's not even their fault.
Yeah.
But it goes like this, right? People sign up for a program or app or whatever, or meal plan that's focused on losing weight, right? Oh, you want to lose weight? Here you go. 1,200 calories, 14, whatever. I'm just using random numbers now. Okay. Here you go. Lose weight. Boom. Okay. They kind of lose weight. They can't sustain it. On to the next thing, right? It's a classic like yo-yo dieting scenario. Next thing, focus on weight loss. Try again, same kind of thing. And the next thing, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. So by the end of the year, it's like, okay, you spend most of the year like either actually being in a deficit or trying to be in a deficit and then kind of binging in between. But either
Yeah.
way, like neither case is great for you, basically, mentally, but also for your body.
Yeah.
So at some point, we just need to say, hey, we have to break that cycle. We have to say we're going to start eating enough now. Prepare you first, right? Get you ready. That goes for your metabolism, but also your habits and I don't know, tracking, protein, water, steps, whatever. If we can actually start there and set you up, get you ready for a fat loss phase, now you're going to have more success.
Right.
And for me, like my clients, like the vast majority of them should at least spend a few weeks, and they do, trying to at least get a couple basics in check, right? We can always get into veggies and fruits and stuff, sure, and we do that. But I think if we don't tackle the most important things, right, we should not go into a deficit.
Yeah, no, I am very big on this. Like, and
Yeah,
I'm open and transparent right away. When someone before they even sign up with me, I say these first couple months we are laying the foundation. Unless it's already in place completely, but I still give it still like I want to make sure that these
yeah,
things are in place first so that we can actually have a successful dieting phase.
yeah. And that's why we often start with a reverse, kind of depending on the case. But here's also something that I do as well. Like, let's say we're bringing you up, right? And you want to lose weight, and you now start losing weight roughly around where you would expect your calorie deficit to be, right? Like, let's call it um, just random numbers. Let's say, for example, we expect your maintenance to be around 2,500, right? Well, your let's say your diet would start at 2,000 or 2,200, whatever. If we start to reverse you and we start dialing in protein and your steps and whatever, food quality, and we actually see that you're losing weight already in that range, then we might actually get started. Because then
Right.
I think if you are responding the way you kind of supposed, should be, then we also don't necessarily have to extend that phase for too long. But either way, at some point, you do have to go back.
Yep.
So this is where it really has to be based on you, right? And we cannot give general advice in a podcast because there's so many factors that play a role there. But that's a bit of a side note because as much as I do start with that still, I have taken people into a deficit sooner now for that reason because I see, hey, you're supposed to be losing weight at X calories and you are. Okay, let's actually just dive into it, right?
Right.
If they're ready, like habit wise.
Right. 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 Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I feel
So
like we're doing. Yeah, go
so
ahead.
I just want to like recap on that. Okay. So
Yeah, yeah,
seasons of nutrition, depending on like where the person is, maintenance phase, cut, reverse diet, maintenance, potentially going to a bulk maintenance. And you might have to do couple cycles of that to achieve what goal you're after.
for sure. And that's the way you want to come up with the plan.
Did you hear
Construction in
that
the
banging?
background.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
There's
that's okay.
someone
No, it's
working
fine.
in my basement.
Oh, good. I thought it was Rose for a sec.
You should, if we had this podcast last year, like it was constant. So I'm glad it's
Oh, yeah?
not. Oh yeah, because we redid our whole house.
Yeah. And we timed it well then. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I want you to take this, you the listener, like I want you to take this into the next 2 months, into next year, right? Write this down for yourself. Come up with a plan, like at least 6 months, at least, if not longer. But like look at where you're currently at, right? And be super honest with yourself. There's no judging here. You just want to know where you are at. And you can either share that with someone. You can always reach out to us for help if you want. You know, if you're like, hey, I kind of really just don't know where to begin, that's cool. But think about stuff like long term, what's coming up, right? Your exams, your vacations, excuse me, just events like that. And then think about your goals. Is that muscle building, fat loss, etc., right? Try to come up with a plan. And I know that it's not easy. And typically, as humans, we want it all. You want everything. You want to have the best performance. You want to perform well at work as well. You want to sleep well and then also lose fat. And you want to do this. And you know, you want to have everything at once, as well as doing it the most healthy way possible. But here's the thing, we just cannot chase everything at once because then it's going to become a mess. And it's literally impossible. Like, hey, if we really want to optimize muscle building, we shouldn't be in a deficit. Hey, if we really want to lose fat, we probably shouldn't spend a lot of time bulking, depending on a person. But once again, it's going to depend. But think about your goals. Think about your plan for the year. If you want to start a cut, that's cool. If you want to start a cut right now, like November 1st, tomorrow, that's cool, right? Just take a break at Christmas, like Kristine is doing. However, most people, you know, might just want to wait, and that's also cool. It's really your decision. But I think whether you are waiting with the actual cut or not, you can already start doing something right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to set you up for success.
Right. Even if it's like building the habits, starting to build habits. Yeah. So you have those in place. So if you're wanting to cut in January, okay, let's start building habits now. Right. It's like you don't have to change. It doesn't have to be anything drastic. Maybe it's just working on increasing your protein, or maybe it's getting a plan in place for meal prep. Maybe it's like just increasing your steps, like getting these basics into place first so that you actually have a more seamless cut. It's easier for you, right? Than trying to like cut now and not have these things in place. And that becomes really hard for you to do.
Yeah, totally. And a few other easy ones, drinking water, eating fruits and veggies, lifting weights, big one, you know, sleeping better, managing stress, like so many things.
Yeah.
And what's important for you, like only you know that, or you could get a coach to, you know, help you kind of like decide where to focus on first. But also with the coach, you're going to do it one step at a time. And this is something a lot of people don't expect, I think, where they sign up and they're like, okay, let's change everything at once, right? Like we're excited, we're motivated, and that's great. And then we have to be the ones telling you, hey, slow down.
Yeah.
Let's actually, before we cut, actually make sure that you eat more than 10 grams of protein per day, you know? Or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it takes time. And for a lot of people in the beginning, they're sometimes like surprised, like, oh, that's it? Like, that's all we're going to do for now? I'm like, yeah,
yep.
That's all, but it will pay off.
Yep.
Anything you want to add there, or did we touch on everything?
I think that's it. Just have a plan in place for your one thing I'll say is I think it's really, really important to have a plan in place prior to these holidays. You know, what is that going to look like for you? in terms of like, do you have any non-negotiables going into the dinner, right? Instead of just going in like blind and not having anything in place, set some little goals for yourself, set a little plan, and you'll feel much more in control that way.
Definitely. And these 2 months, that's plenty of time. And there's plenty of time to kind of learn stuff and get yourself into those scenarios where you go out for dinner and you feel fine. Like you don't stress about it, right?
Right.
You go into Christmas knowing what you're going to do for the day. Hey, most people, that's not going to be tracking, like you said,
Right.
just the basics really. And your non-negotiables might be different than ours, and that's cool. But don't wait. That's what I'm trying to say. Like maybe with the cut, that's up to you, but like don't wait with the actual habit building that you are going to need in the long run. It's been a great episode.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your year, right? Next 2 months, let's make it count. And in the meantime, keep listening to our podcast, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening. If you want to help us grow the show, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating or share this episode on your Instagram stories. Now, if at any point you feel like you need more help, you can always reach out to Kristine or myself directly via any of the links in our show notes, because we're here to help. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.